atmosphere inside the project manager's cabin was buzzing. Everyone was working late to prep for tomorrow's massive client pitch, $100 million deal on the line. The glass wall gave a perfect view of the glowing city outside, but inside, all the eyes were on laptops. You were seated on the right side of the table, scrolling through the project deck on your iPad. Jungkook, your cold, unreadable CEO, sat at the head of the table, watching every move, every word. His presence was magnetic and heavy, like the air shifted just by him being there. He wore a crisp white shirt, black tie, and had his sleeves rolled up to his elbow, veins visible, watch glinting under the light. He tried not to stare. Tried. Alex, the charming project manager, stood beside you, going through the slides with his usual laid-back charm. Alex, alright team, tomorrow's pitch need to be smooth, no stuttering, no awkward silence unless wine here plans to distract the client with a cute clumsiness again. He winked and the team chuckled. Sam laughing, well it did work last time. Remember when Wine spilled coffee and the client said it made him feel less nervous? Wine blushing, smiling nervously. It wasn't planned, okay, I was just tired. Alex teasing, don't worry, if you trip again I'll catch you like last time. He smirked, brushing his shoulder against yours carefully. Your cheek turned warm as you let out a small laugh. The room filled with soft laughter except for one person. Jungkook's jaw clenched. He hasn't said a word since the meeting started, but now his eyes were fixed on Alex's hand that was resting far too close to yours on the table. He leaned back in his chair, eyes sharp. Christy whispering to another, damn, did you see Jungkook sir? He's watching like he's gonna murder someone. John snickering, poor Alex is gonna get assigned night shift for here if he keeps flirting like that. You tried not to laugh at their whispers, but even you could feel it. Jungkook stared heavy, burning, unreadable. Alex's obliviation, maybe just brave, kept going. Alex, why are you handing the handouts tomorrow, right? I'm counting on you to charm them all. Wine laughing, half awkward. I'm just giving papers, Alex, not flirting. Alex, oh come on, your smile can close a deal better than this entire presentation. That was the last straw. Suddenly, Jungkook sat up straighter, his voice cutting clean through the air. Jungkook, that's enough. The discussion is dismissed. He paused for half a second, his throat tightened as he caught himself. Jungkook, I mean the office hours are over. We'll continue tomorrow. His voice was cold, so cold it dropped the room into silence. Everyone looked around, confused by the sudden tone shift. Jungkook didn't wait. He stood up, grabbed his tablet and card key from the table and walked out without glancing at anyone. He blinked slightly, stunned. That was strange, even for him. Sam quietly, okay, what just happened? Christy whispering, did we cross the line or something? Alex looked around awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. You stood up too. Suddenly worried something didn't felt right. Without even picking up your bag, you walked down the hallway towards Jungkook's private cabin. The lights were on inside. You gently knocked and stepped inside. He was by his desk, grabbing his coat and keys. Fine, sir. Is everything okay? He didn't reply, not even a look. He simply slipped into his coat and walked right past you like air, whined softly, sir. Still nothing. You turned around to watch him disappear down the hallway. Confused and slightly stung, you stood in his empty office. His cologne still lingered in the air, sharp, masculine, and heavy. Wine murmuring, maybe he didn't hear me. You tried to brush it off, told yourself he was stressed, that this pitch was allowed, that maybe he was zoning out. But something inside deep whispered. He wasn't ignoring your voice, he was ignoring his feelings. What you didn't know was, Jungkook had heard every word Alex said, seen every look exchanged, felt every laugh that wasn't meant for him, and he couldn't stay in that room a second longer. Because if he did, he was afraid his secret would stand up quite literally right in front of everyone. The next morning, the sky was slightly overcast and the tension in the office was heavier than the cloud outside. You entered the office 10 minutes late thanks to the traffic and your clumsy rush of getting dressed. Your heels clicked softly against the floor as you noticed something odd. The entire team was inside Jungkook's cabin except for one. Alex. Sweet chicks subscribes to Fictional Love and help me get monetized. Please, love you all. You blinked in surprise, straightening your blouse before knocking lightly and pushing the glass door open. Ryan, good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. The atmosphere inside was serious, head buried in reports and presentations. Jungkook looked up for a brief second, his eyes cold, unreadable as always, but he noticed a slight flicker of something. Possessiveness. You gave a polite smell and looked around. Why, Alex isn't here yet. Should I call him sir? Jungkook's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak immediately. His hand clenched around the pen he was holding. Jungkook, after a long pause, fine, go ahead. His voice was calm, too calm. You nodded and stepped out, your phone in hand. As you were about to call him, Alex appeared near the entrance with two coffees in his hand. Alex, hey Ryan, saved you from the vending machine disaster again. He grinned, handing you one. Ryan laughing softly. You are a lifesaver. I need this caffeine injection badly. You walked together, talking, giggling about something he said regarding the presentation animation. The glass wall of Jungkook's cabin made everything crystal clear. You sipping coffees from Alex's hand, laughing, Alex smiling down at you. Inside, Jungkook's grip on his pen cracked slightly. You both entered the cabin, your laughter softening as you noticed the silence. Alex unfazed slid into his spot beside the screen and began talking confidently. Alex. Alright team, so the client is expecting numbers to be simplified and the visual polished. I have detailed the final 3 slides to make sure it doesn't look too text heavy. Ryan is going to handle the summary handout, she's got it covered, right? Fine. Yes, all the prints and sorted. Alex, Sam, the conference room is big booked from the 2 p.m. so we need to be there sharp. John, this speech could literally make or break the quarter. Everyone looked tense, shoulders stiff, brows fraud. Except Jungkook. He leaned back in his chair, legs crossed, face calm, but his gaze piercing, fixed either on you or Alex or both. Christy to Jungkook. Sir, do you want to run through the final notes once? Jungkook flatly, no need, just don't mess up. His word cut through the tension like blade. The team nodded, avoiding his eyes. Soon the discussion ended. Everyone picked up their laptops, paper, coffee cup. One by one, they fled out of the cabin, nervous, humming. You were about to leave too when Jungkook sharply, why and you flinched. Your hand froze on the door handle. Slowly you turned back, eyes waited. Fine. Yes, sir? Everyone else had already left except Alex, who paused at the door. Jungkook not looking at Alex. You may leave, Alex. Alex. Oh, alright, then. Alex gave you a quick glance and a soft good luck smile before walking out. The glass door clicked shut behind him. Now it was just the two of you. You turned slowly, walking towards Jungkook's desk while your heart thumped so loud you could hear it in your ears. His brows drawn, his lips pressed into a hard line, his tie was slightly loosened, and the way he sat, tensed and tall, made your nerves spike. Whine softly, sir, did I do something wrong? He didn't reply immediately. His eyes flickered up to meet yours. Jungkook, I have a headache. Ryan confused. Oh, should I get you something? Jungkook, coffee, black, no sugar. He leaned back, closing his eyes for a second. Jungkook murmuring under his breath, and make it quick. I don't have time to watch your people around the office. Sir, Jungkook calmed. Go now, Ryan. You didn't say a word. You just turned around and walked out fast, your heart pounding, cheeks flushed. But even as the glass door closed behind you, you could feel it. His eyes still watching, still burning. You returned to Jungkook's cabin, a cup of freshly brewed black coffee in your hand, trying to calm your still reaching heart. Your mind kept replaying his cold, sharp tone, the bitterness lacing his voice, and the way he looked at you like he was on the edge of something dangerous. You knocked softly once before stepping in. Why, insert yourself off me. The moment your eyes landed on him, you froze mid step. Jungkook was sitting on the edge of his leather chair, both elbows resting on his thighs, his head held tightly in his hand. His jaw was clenched, brows drawn in pain. He looked like he was in serious discomfort. Your worry drowned everything else. Whined softly, Sir, are you okay? He didn't respond with words, just a soft hum, almost a pained hum. You panicked, forgetting the coffee cup in your hand completely. Your feet moved on their own, rushing towards him as your hand squeezed in concern. Ryan, you're hurting, let me. But as you got closer, your heel caught on the edge of the carpet, your foot stumbled. Ryan, oh no. Your balance slipped, and before you could catch yourself, the hot cup in your hand tipped. The coffee splashed directly onto his, more precisely on, dangerously close to his Jungkook shit. He hissed in sharp pain, his body jolting upright as the scalding liquid soaked through his. Your eyes widened in horror. Ryan, oh my god, I am so sorry. You dropped to your knees in an instant, your hands frantically reaching out for the napkin box on his desk. Without thinking, you pulled out a thick bunch of tissues and began patting at his dark stained fabric on his. You didn't even realize how close you were. Your hand tapped gently, trying not to hurt him, but the spot was so close. And it was changing, more like something. Sweet chicks, subscribe please, help my efforts get recognized. The sharp breath he took wasn't entirely from the pain anymore. Jungkook's body stiffened, a low, guttural sound catching in his throat. You blinked, confused, your hand still moving over the damp fabric until you something firm. Your hand froze, your eyes flickered up to meet his. He looked down at you, jaw tight, eyes wild with panic, something darker, something he couldn't hide now. And just like that, he stood abruptly and grabbed your wrist, not roughly but urgently. Jungkook, low and quick. Why and enough? You looked up, completely flushed, heart beating out of rhythm. Ryan, I didn't mean to, sir. I'm sorry. Please, I'll just fix. Jungkook, soft but firm. Go to Alex's cabin. Ryan stammering. What? But you are in pain. I should. Jungkook. Ryan. His voice lowered to near a whisper, but it held weight. For the first time ever, he wasn't cold, he wasn't commanding, he was pleading. Jungkook, please just get the client file from Alex's desk. We need it for the meeting. You just titled the word please from him. You blinked, confused, overwhelmed, and still guilty to your bones, but you nodded softly. Ryan softly, okay. You stood up with shaky legs, brushing down your skirt and grabbing the tissue box again, placing it gently beside his desk. As you walked out, one last glance over your shoulder showed Jungkook gripping the edge of the desk with both hands, his knuckles turning white. The moment the door closed behind you, Jungkook rushed towards the private washroom inside his cabin. His breath was heavy, raged. He turned the tap on full, splashing the cold water on his face, but it wasn't enough. His eyes shut tightly, his fist hitting the marble counter once. Jungkook to himself, barely above whisper, "What the are you doing?" But his body didn't listen. His thought spun only around you, your hand on him, your eyes, the way you panicked and cared at the same time. It was too much. He and leaned forward, both hands bracing the counter as he tried to pull himself together, knowing the meeting was just an hour away. And you were still out there with Alex. The long table stretched across the center of the meeting room, polished to perfection, glass wall framed the space, letting in soft sunlight. Inside, tension burst like static in the air. You sat beside Jungkook, your notepad and documents ready, your pen in hand. Alex sat diagonally opposite, sending you a small smirk when he caught your eyes. You looked away instantly. Across the table sat the CEO of the partnering firm, a well-known man in his mid-50s with salt and pepper hair and a sharp gaze. Beside him sat their boards of directors, two women and a man, all poised and professional. The room filled with polite introduction. "Mr. Roy, it's pleasure to meet. Finally collaborate with John Corporates. Your brand speaks volume in the market, Mr. John." Jungkook nodded, trying to sit upright, one hand resting on the table, the other hand gripping the file tightly on his. His jaw was tight, too tight. Jungkook calmly, "Likewise, we've been analyzing your product line." But even as he spoke, he noticed something strange. His voice was unusually husky, his sentence clipped. He wasn't in his usual sharp, dominating CEO self. You turned subtly to glance at him. His breath was slightly off, his twitching under the table, and he wasn't maintaining much eye contact. "Miss Schlegel, we have gone through the joint contract, but there are a few clauses under distribution that might need adjustment." Alex forwarded. "I believe clause 9.3b related to IP rights need clearer definition. I'd be happy to walk through it with you, Mr. Roy." Of course, we were expecting Mr. John to lead that part of the discussion too. Everyone's eyes turned towards Jungkook. He blinked, snapped out of whatever silence from he was trying to control. Jungkook, after a pause, right? Clause 9.3b, the intellectual property remains mutually exclusive unless co-developed. However, we are open to amending code usage under specific licenses. His voice trailed slightly at the end, his fingers tightening around the file. You couldn't help but notice how stiffly he sat, his legs slightly apart, the file covering a specific area. Something in your stomach twisted. You turned your head just slightly, trying not to look. But then your pen slipped from your fingers. It clattered to the floor beneath the table. You instinctively leaned forward to retrieve it, just a harmless moment, but the moment your eyes scanned under the table, your breath hitched a tent. You froze halfway down, eyes going wide like saucers. Your mouth fell open slightly, Vine in her head. "No, no freaking way, is he?" Your fingers hovered as if you'd forgotten what you came down for, and then Jungkook looked at you. His eyes dark were already on you, sharp, watching like he knew what you had sown, and in a swift, elegant moment he adjusted the file over a little more securely. You nearly choked on air and hurriedly sat up straight, cheek burning, hand stiff on the table. You didn't dare to blink, you barely breathed. "Miss Schlegel, obvious. So then the shipping clause can be finalized by next week, Alex?" "Yes, absolutely. We'll prepare the revised terms by Monday." Jungkook gave a soft nod. No word. His eyes focused on a random spot on the wall as if trying to anchor himself there. Time passed painfully slow. You were aware of every second, every flicker of movement beside you. Finally, the meeting drew to a close. Mr. Roy standing, looking forward to the partnership. "Thank you all for the time and clarity." Everyone rose to their feet, handshakes were exchanged. You extended yours politely to the CEO, then the directors. Lastly, Alex stepped towards you with that ever so sly smile. Alex softly, well done, Ryan. You look tense though. Hope the boss didn't growl too loudly today. He winked. You gave him stiff, fake smile, barely holding your breath. Ryan flatly just focused on the detail. Alex. Right. Everyone slowly exited the room. Light chattered, filling the hallway as people flied out. You turned to follow them, desperate to get out of the space and breathe. Bang! The loud slam of a palm against the polished table made you jump out of your skin. Jungkook low, angry, firm. Ryan, stay! You flinched. For the rest, click the link in the description.